Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM and its community partners, McDonald's of Guam, Coast 360 Federal Credit Union, Office of the Governor, Island-Wide Beautification Task Force, and the Guam Museum want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@KUAM.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from McDonald's of Guam, Coast 360 Federal Credit Union, Office of the Governor, Island-Wide Beautification Task Force, the Guam Museum, and KUAM Communications. Breaking news! This just in, Santa has a combined $4,000 to give away for Guam's best outdoor holiday display. Submit your outdoor display for a chance to win cash prizes. All submissions will be posted on our Facebook page, and the top 10 most liked pictures or videos wins a special cash prize to make your season even brighter. Visit KUAM.com for more details.
I remember the old days with my friends I used to play. Never hungry, never tired, always free. None as cooking filled the air. Lots of love was everywhere in that old tin house by the sea. Every day when chores were done, thought that said, go have your fun. Had to be back for the pigs we had to feed.
I want to welcome you to our fourth
How
general
I
membership
wish
meeting.
that I could
Today
see
we have a couple
thought
of speakers,
that
and we
Nonna
want to
smiling at me
But before we
in
get
that
started, we
old
want to
tin house
encourage everybody
by
to
the
submit their electronic
sea.
ballots for our board of directors.
And I
The electronic ballots are
remember
actually
the
due via
old
email today.
days
And so
when
please
the
vote for
church
your board of
bells
directors
used
for
to
the
ring,
2021 calendar
and the
year for Encompass
villagers
Association.
would gather to pray.
we're very excited to present
how they live life
with
simple,
Tanahungu Islata Plan, which
always
is
rich
Let's Island.
with no
We have several
money
speakers to join
in
us,
that
and I will introduce them as we go through the
old house
plan.
by
But it's
the
been a very hectic year,
sea.
very busy with regards to GHRA and all the
Every day
activities
when
we've had.
chores were done,
In the last quarter meeting, we
thought
actually
that's
had
it,
public health
go have
present
your fun.
the health and safety
Had
protocols
to
with the
be
reopening
back
guidelines. We
for
had
the
GMA present
pigs we had to
contact tracing plan,
feed.
and we
How I
participated as
wish
an
that I
association
could
with several
see
people joining
Taught
the
and
UCSF
Nana smiling at
contact
me
tracing course together
in
with public
that
health.
old
Just this last
tin
week,
house
GHRA
by the
also
sea.
attended the outbreak management course with UCSF together with GPHSS. We're very excited that they have included us each time to represent private sector, and we're looking forward to many more partnerships in how we respond and mitigate strategies against COVID-19. So everything that we've been doing, we have been sharing through our committees. If right now you are not currently assigned to one of the committees or one of your employees, please contact GHRA at info@ghra.org. We have 7 working committees, including HR and education, food and beverage, PR, sales and marketing, engineering and environmental, safety and security, executive housekeeping, and front desk. And so everything that we've been sharing is through WhatsApp or via email. And then every other week, we also send updates via constant contact, as well as the through all our website. Recently, GHRA just last week launched its brand new website, so we encourage all of you to go online at ghra.org. It's an interactive website which features all of our programs and events, and then it also has a pay feature through PayPal, where you can actually pay for your membership or any events or training that GHRA announces. We have also featured a COVID-19 page, as well as additional pages for all regulatory and legislative information. There's a lot that we've been doing the last several months. Everybody knows about the recent projects with the Roosevelt, with the Economic Advisory Board, and of course, with our partner for the industry with GBB. So you can find a lot of resources on there. Also, we've launched our mobile application. So together with our website, we have a mobile app that has the same features. And so please take some time to really visit our GHRA app as well as our new website. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we look forward to launching more programs as we move forward in 2021. I want to thank our electronic billboard sponsors in also promoting our restaurant campaign so that we can do something similar to the National Restaurant Association in supporting our restaurants for takeout and outdoor dining. So thank you to TriVision and Cherry Media. They have really supported us in putting together our electronic billboard advertising for our restaurants in hotels, outside hotels, and also freestanding restaurants. So thank you very much. Without further ado, I'd like to present the Tanahungu Islata Plan, which is Let's GHRA Island. We've actually put together this plan with the Guam Recovery Group, and we want to be able to take any questions. We do have a couple of features using this Zoom webinar feature. The features include you can actually send your questions through the chat. I will be documenting the questions as we go along, and we will be able to take the questions and answer them at the end of these presentations. So please remember to use your chat so that we can track it, and then also we'll be able to respond to you in the same webinar. Right now, I'm going to share a screen so that we have an updated presentation. And so here you go. GHRA has partnered together with the with the American Medical Center. And representing American Medical Center, we have Dr. Ho Nguyen, and he's a partner as well as a family practitioner. And we want to thank him for his participation and leadership in launching this project together with GHRA. Through our partnership with AMC, we were able to put together this public-private sector plan, and we've had several meetings with public health so that we can all really participate on a much larger scale. And we've had also meetings with the governor, and we look forward to our upcoming meeting with her. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Hoan Nguyen.
Good morning. Have changed our okay. We just got our stuff there. Since March this year, the COVID-19 pandemic have changed our island and the rest of the world a whole lot. It affects our tourism and our local economy. All the business are affected either by the infected employee or someone, the employee who close contact. So this result in the loss of infected employee for 10 days for isolation or a close contact employee that will be on quarantine for 10 days. And in the worst scenario, the business had to shut down completely for several days to several weeks because of the widespread infection. So what we do is that from the CDC on the website, recommend that we collaboration between the public health and the private partnership on a variety of seroprevalence survey to kind of help public health in the future planning for the pandemic. We learned the past few months through several incidents that the asymptomatic carrier is a major concern, which about 60 to 75% of people infected with COVID-19 that have no symptom, and that's very dangerous to any company. As a healthcare provider, we look for a solution to work closely with the public health and the private sector and finding ways to move our economy forward. We partner with GHRA and GCA just to put together a plan which involve the seroprevalence using the rapid antibody testing and also a serial surveillance testing using rapid antigen test and back up with PCR testing for confirmation. For the private sector and possible some government agency with a goal of keeping the workforce at work during the pandemic. We also welcome the Team 360 Clinic from California with the digital platform to kind of streamline the testing, the notification, isolation, and contact tracing and surveillance and all in one platform that are accessible to the company manager and the HR anytime, anywhere. They can use the smartphone, the iPad, or any computer in order to look at the platform. This platform is also available for public health for their contact tracing and it provides all the information, including all the demographic required by CDC. Again, this platform is really a private initiative working parallel with public health and keep our workforce at work during the pandemic. So again, it's very comprehensive, and I will now turn kind of over to Dr. Alfred, and she will explain a little bit more about the program, and then Team 360 will follow the digital platform. Thank you very much.
So before we introduce Dr. Alfred, we want to go over the actual presentation of the plan. And so with that, I'd like to share what we have launched earlier last Friday to the public. And so this is the Tanahunga Islata plan, which is Let's Heal Our Island. And we put together this plan as a comprehensive-based initiative using science best practices and community collaboration, where we are looking to partner with public health as well as the employer groups to stop the spread, to keep Guam open, and to prove this works, creating a baseline so we can continue to have a response out in the community, especially in the business community, where a lot of our employees and our employers are having needing resources so that they can maintain their operations. So far, we've met with various partners, AMC. We really have two plans. On the right-hand side is the rapid testing and surveillance plan, where we have, again, partnered with AMC and then collaborated with public health. We've also reached out to the Guam Contractors Association and started this initiative in where we identify particular companies that have want to participate in the plan. And we started training as of last week. Together with GCA, we have identified certain companies who have already agreed to participate, and we are working towards initiating this plan starting next week, with our second training taking place tomorrow. GHRA has also reached out to some of the educational institutes to see if they could help with some of the training protocols that we look to implement together with the Guam Visitors Bureau. And so that leads into the other tier, which is on the left-hand side, which I'm going to talk about just a little bit, because this is really a comprehensive plan that identifies the health and safety protocols with risk assessments and containment management. In that, we have partnered again with the Guam Visitors Bureau to introduce a plan where we want to be able to partner with them in introducing and updating health and safety protocols with DEH's Division of Public Health. With that, we've identified UOG, GCC, and the Trades Academy in giving the curriculum out to the community and actually certifying those businesses in programs that we feel that they need additional resources in training and education. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The way we've done this is really a public-private partnership, so we can integrate and implement programs that we know is scalable for our community by identifying gaps in our market and identifying training and educational opportunities. And by providing the support and leveraging the medical expertise by partnering with AMC, we feel strongly that we can demonstrate this as a universal process with public health that can be replicated in the near future as we move into 2021. The 3-month pilot program that we've identified will identify participants who want to participate on a fee-for-service basis at this point. We have met with the governor, and we are looking forward to meeting with her again next week, where we hope to get CARES Act funding so that we can make this available to more companies. And we've identified these possible mix of industries so that we can maintain operations with businesses that are remaining open, but also again, create that baseline for 10,000 minimum participants as a number of employees so we can get the surveillance survey going. And so with that, we hope that the plan will allow us to work with these different industries so that we can create that baseline so GVB can look at this as a pilot program so we can reopen our tourism industry. We met with GVB just yesterday and presented this plan as well, and so that they can also further support GHRA and AMC on this public-private partnership initiative. So if you think about it, it's really not just private sector. We can also look at different government entities that really need to test their employees on a regular basis, like the airport, the Port Authority. We also, are very interested in talking to the hospital. I know that DOE is submitting their plans soon to the governor. And so there are a lot of opportunities, and even GPA, GWA are frontliners with Guam Fire, Guam Police Department. So this really could be a plan, not just for private sector, but also public sector, to regularly test our employees who are working in the industry so that we can really keep, help improve confidence, public confidence, and maintain operations so that we don't have to return back to shutting down businesses. So the plan is really 2 pillars: health and safety protocols with education and training, as I mentioned, with GDB and the University of Guam, in introducing a Guam Safe Certified program that introduces standards and using best practices so that we can conduct training and education for businesses so that they can improve on their protocols and really find any gaps that they may have where we've identified as we've been dealing with COVID. And so that risk assessment and containment management is conducting a risk assessment and looking at your pandemic plan, your contact tracing protocols, engineering and administrative controls, your workplace modifications, cleaning and disinfection protocols, and reopening and closure plans. A lot of businesses have been focusing on reopening plans only with public health. And so we need to also look at how do you communicate this to your employees? How do you deal with if you do have an outbreak? And then how do you deal with closure and informing the public? So we believe we can do all of this through really an assessment of the company, conducting self-audits and inspections on a regular basis, and really self-policing so that we can help scale up businesses to create these mitigation strategies so that they can independently work on this so that should public health come on site, they already have all their information and plans in place. But more important than just plans is operationalizing their plans so that they can show DEH that they can remain open. Then the other part of this, which we're going to focus more on again, because today's meeting is really about the clinical rapid testing and surveillance. Our partner is with AMC because they are a CLIA certified clinic, and they are able to do the seroprevalence survey where they do the initial screening for the workplace. As Dr. Nguyen said, Dr. Alfred will be going into the protocols. And so with that, the surveillance testing, we're going to make this presentation available on our website at GHRA.org if you need a copy. We're also recording this presentation and we will put it up on our YouTube channel and make it available through Facebook and our new website. So if you have any questions, we can go through that. But Dr. Alfred will be going over these new protocols. But before that, I wanted to go over the process flow. The process flow is, should a company be interested in this program, they need to contact GHRA, and our email is info@ghra.org or president@ghra.org. Through that, we will identify your needs and work with you together with AMC on what exactly the program should entail. And what we would do is go through and provide the training and all the resources that you need to stand up your own businesses so we could conduct the testing on site. Part of that is uploading the patient demographics. So we would need your employees' names, and we have a set of data that we would need to upload into the system. So everything that we have here it includes not just testing and on-site testing, but it also has a digital contact tracing, a digital platform, which our other presenters will be sharing with you today as part of a demonstration. So with that, once we get the data, we can schedule your testing dates and put the schedule together. And then we will conduct the on-site visit to collect the samples. Once the employees are tested, they'll know their lab results in 10 to 15 minutes. And then with that, it would be shared with different portals. The first one is public health would receive it via a secured cloud. And then the employer would also have access to it in their own portal with information that's specific to the employer's use. They won't receive everything. Public health will also have a read-only access. And then the employee can receive their information on the different formats that they've selected, whether it's SMS text, email, on an app, or through WhatsApp. So the employee will get notified. If they are negative, which is right at the bottom, they would be informed by their employer and just go back to work. If they are positive, though, they would be able to receive that information, but the employer will follow up with them, notify public health to start the contact tracing process. And then the employee would isolate for at least 10 days and then go through the instructions with public health on how to return to work or when. Then after that, Dr. Alfred would go through the examples of how we would continue surveillance testing and reporting. So this is the process flow, and we can go through that later if anyone has any questions. But I'd like to now introduce Dr. Erica Masuda Alford. She is the endocrinologist, she's in charge of endocrinology, diabetes, and metabolism at American Medical Center.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to let you know that the protocol for surveillance does not encompass symptomatic employees. If any employee is symptomatic of an infectious disease, such as fever, cough, congestion, or GI distress like diarrhea and vomiting, this does not apply to them. They should be immediately isolated from the rest of the work population and should see their primary care provider or come to American Medical Center to conduct PCR testing to confirm infection and then be quarantined from the rest of the population. At any time someone is symptomatic, they should be isolated from the rest of the employee population. For the asymptomatic population, the plan is for all employees to be tested using a serology test, an antibody test that we will show you in a minute. And this helps to determine who was previously infected. This helps us to remove them from the at-risk population. Other people will be allowed to continue working. Because if someone has antibodies, they're at low risk for immediate infection. We also know that if they're exposed, we can allow them to continue working. And also because if they have positive antibodies, there's no immediate need to retest them using the antigen or PCR test. It also helps to determine who has not been infected in the past for continued monitoring, and so that we know who to target among the employee population. We would test 100% of all employees, and then every 2 months or 3 months thereafter, we would do the entire employee population. On top of this, we would be checking the rapid antigen testing every 7 to 14 days for the at-risk population, and we would be choosing 15% of the workforce to be doing this every 7 to 14 days. And so this is the surveillance mechanism. The antibody test cards, as you can, let me have Mary move it forward. You'll see that it's pretty easy. If any of you have seen someone have a diabetes blood sugar test, it's very similar to that. You would poke your finger with a lancing device and get a drop of blood that would get pipetted into a little card. And there's a reagent that you put 2 little drops on, and you can get different results. The first is if there's only a control, the person's considered negative. And if there is a control plus an IgM positivity, that means a person is actively infected. Obviously, these people will need to be rapidly isolated, and they would have a PCR test also to confirm. Another possibility is the control line plus IgG. I always remember IgG is good. So good means they've had previous infection, and so they have antibodies to COVID. And because it's a past infection, it also means that they have antibodies to protect them from infection. The last option is when you get all 3 lines showing, and this is toward the end of the active phase of infection. Mary, if you can flip over to the next slide. This diagram makes it a little bit easier to understand what all these lines means. So when the person first gets infected, their antibodies do not show up. They get onset of symptoms at about day 5, and around day 7, IgM becomes detectable. IgM goes up and then eventually comes down. However, IgG, which is the long-term protective antibody, comes up at day 14, and we see with studies with COVID that have been done, the IgG antibody stays elevated for about 3 months, which helps the person who has had a past infection. And that's how we will be doing the testing for surveillance at the employee sites. And on top of that, the antigen testing will test for asymptomatic pauses that may be asymptomatic, but could potentially be spreading disease through the workplace. So we will be doing random samplings of about 15% of the employee population every 7 to 14 days.
She still has signal. She never changed it.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Sorry.
Update. So next up, I'd like to introduce non-trans Julie Bu and Michael Blejo. They will be presenting the digital platform.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I think Dr. Hanwin already said most of the things that we're about to say, but yes, we're here with our team, Julie Bowie, myself, Nantran, and Mike Leho. Really, the solutions that we're looking to bring into Guam, and actually we're already brought into Guam and having some pilot program next week. I guess starting with AMC is our first proof of concept. But really the goal is, we have a comprehensive solutions that will allow for all members, to pre-register, all, streamline the entire process instead of entering one by one or filling out the paperwork. We have mechanisms to do bulk upload, being able to have all those informations in there in an effective and pretty expedient manner. Really, the result delivery is going to come in a very important role too, not just only for the employer groups that we're working with, but also, once we start rolling out, really our goal is to help, do this surveillance program and allow people to stay at work and have a mechanism that is trackable and traceable, and to be able to allow one to reopen in a safe and sound manner. So, with that, I'm going to pass it on to Julie. She's going to be doing the demo for us to demonstrate some of our healthcare passport capabilities, results deliveries, really a lot of the data analytics and how it's going to help us, in the future with making decisions that are backed by data, and to be able to make it, justifiable decisions in terms of to reopen to not. So Julie, I'll go ahead and pass it on to you. And if you go ahead and want to share your screen, start your demo.
All right, thank you, Nhan. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Bowie, and I am with 360 Clinic. So from the start of the pandemic, we have been working on a solution, mass testing, to provide like a safety and peace of mind for our communities. So we started this program in Arizona as well as in California. And up to date, 360 Clinic, we have been able to deliver more than 100,000 and 120,000 testing in both the regions. Now, in order, as we got the call from the one of our clinical partners here in Guam, we were thinking like, how can we bring the solution that we already able to provide that for California and Arizona here to the community in Guam. And that's this is the flow that Mary already introduced to you earlier. Now, to put it in a model in a short run, as you know, that we will work with like employer groups as well as with the clinical team at the AMC in order to push out the mass testing. Now, in terms of like the result delivery. At the result delivery responsibility, now we're looking to speed up and optimize the current process. So pretty much if you are doing antibody or antigen use as an employer, from the employer standpoint, you should be able to get the report of that result if your employee was doing testing at one of our testing site locations within 15 to 20 minutes in a digital platform manner. So we break it down into 4 point of views. Basically, for the employer, the key piece in here is for the safely reopening the economy with knowing that, like, okay, your employee already complete the test, they have the antibody, and or if there's like later on, if there's a vaccine, COVID vaccine distribution coming into the plan, that is one from the point of view of the employer. Now, from the citizen or the employee point of view, we love to know that, like, basically this is for them to easily navigate into our testing location. So that way, like, we will be able to accommodate for the mass testing. We will coordinate with the employer groups to create like a private testing event, as well as is available for the public. And ultimately, all of these umbrella point of view that have to tie into the macro for the public health in order to, like justify the data that the island is safe enough to reopen for tourism and for the general, industry of the hotel and restaurant. Now, on the from the patient point of view, we have the several different mechanisms to make it simple. We have a very comprehensive, easy to use patient registration platform. If the patient would like to select the time slot one by one, or if the employer actually participate into our program with the AMC, we can also accommodate to help the HR to do the bulk upload. So that way, like if you have 500 or 1,000 employees, we can help to accommodate with the bulk upload. We just need to have to get in contact with the HR department to get the contact of the employees. Also, the mechanism of result delivery is fully automated, meaning like if, as I mentioned earlier, if we're doing antibody and antigen, both the patient, the public health, and the employer should get the result delivery 30 minutes at the latest. We shouldn't see like the result like 5 days or a week later. And also like that way, because to respond to the pandemic, the speed of getting the result, tell you everything, because it's related to the contact tracing for the positive case. That way, from the employer standpoint, if you have a positive case patient, now you can immediately know that like public health also on the same page, and they will conduct the contact tracing accordingly. And this is a really fun exercise. I thank you for the question opening up, Mary. And to make this presentation interactive, so as we go, is this covered by insurance? I would say like it depends. So if the patient have the insurance, then yes, it under CARE Act, all of the COVID testing and COVID treatment is covered by insurance. And also like for the exercise of the result delivery, I would like to demonstrate a quick QR barcode. If everyone interested, you can just hold up your phone, open the camera option, and then you can do a demo scan, right? So this is our demo for our sample result delivery. So that way, let's say if you are from the employer's standpoint and your employee already conduct the test, they going back to work and they will initiate to log in and or validate their result, and then initiate to share the QR code with you, and you can scan it to see like how the result delivery mechanism from the public standpoint. For example, if this person now going to restaurant, going back to work, going back to school, going to the airport, this is the QR mechanism that will be able to deliver the result, faster. So that way you don't have to carry a stack of paper, and you do not need to have a device to decode it as long as you have a smartphone device. As I mentioned, even if you open up with your regular camera, it will still recognize the barcode and route you over to the link of the result. So this is the sample result delivery mechanism.
Yeah, so if you guys want to just do a quick test trial on that, use your camera phone, pretty much scan it, and then click on the link. It's going to show you something like this on the result. Pretty much the results, we can customize it according to what you want to display. Obviously, if you look at the samples right now, we capture all the critical components with collected date, result date, which lab is coming from, who's the the physicians, and all of that. But again, all of that information can be customized according to the needs of, I guess, the general community. Once we have a consensus in terms of what that information is and what kind of information we need to present, we can certainly customize all of that to your specific needs.
Right, and we coordinate with with like WAM associations. So we are working in conjunction with the WOM Association to coordinate for the effort, and also like to like coordinate like with the individual employer, individual groups, through that fashion. Another part is like, so from the employer standpoint, you will have if you participate into the program, you will also have the access to the dashboard that only catering to your network view only. For example, if employer ABC, they have their own network ID. So that way, like when you log in, you will only see employees, or even if like the university or school, they have their own student, right? So that's how we separate out into each container for security purposes. Then you should be able to see the result, how many people, how many tests have been done, what are the results, what are what are the notification and all of that from your private standpoint. So we are working of the we are working in adjunct with the we're working in adjunction with the public health. So all the information that you see in here will also be deposited back into the public health for contact tracing. And but it's a so I see that there's several questions about
we'll get to the questions. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the operation question, I would let Mary and Yan to handle the operational question. And on the technology standpoint, that's how we'll be able to accommodate a different registration and upload. And as I mentioned, like from the employer, our platform is become like a point of care, right? So even like if you are not the medical group, like with the AMC, you still have a very simple, like view. So that way, like when you coming in, you will be immediately see, and it will help you with like planning for your reopening, as well as the planning for HR resources. And of course, like you will have the same data information that the clinical group at AMC, at the public health, and the patient has. So pretty much we're working on to bring everyone onto a same point of view and result deliver.
Right. Yes, and as Julie pointed out, we keep different containers for different employer groups. There's only very few people that will have a global view to the different employer group, and one of which is public health. Our clinical partners, in this case being AMC, if they're the one conducting the test and reporting the results, then they would have access to those employer groups as well. And for you as employers, you should be able to see all of this information and all the data collected in your whole entire populations remotely. I mean, this is a web-based application. It's not you don't need to download an app or anything like that. It's accessible to you wherever and wherever you have an internet connection to. So that's it's a pretty powerful tools that you want to just look at a glance and say, okay, where are we at? How are we doing? It's just a matter of logging into your admin portal and being able to see all of this information and have the data analytics behind that to sort from different views, so you can better manage and restructure your workforce if needs be.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to show you a little bit. So like for the on-site, when the patient check-in on-site, the HR administration will have the mechanism to actually like check them in. Now, once we do the upload, we will work with you to do the mass upload in. And at the point of like, let's say if you are the HR of the company, and somehow after the upload, the person, your employee, start to develop some sort of symptom, we also have a screening questionnaire embedded into the check-in process. So that way, if any symptom develop during or before the testing date, you can also help to record it here. That's number one. And I saw like some question related to the insurance earlier. So the answer is it depends on that. We do collect the info, but as we work with the scope depends on the scope that we work with each of the subgroup. So we'll be able to define the costing structure and all of that. But yes, we do have a mechanism to select like insurance. This is like one on the patient demographic, and obviously you'll be able to do the upload of the patient picture. I mean, the user, the testing, whoever come to the test picture as well. And the most thing that the employer normally like will interested in is the result delivery, right? So because if we're doing the antigen or antibody, the result integrity is very critical. Meaning, like, how do we know that like this is actually the person that conducting the test? So that's why like when we as the person doing on-site testing collection, they will also have a mechanism to upload the image of their antibody test kit. This is good for like audit log later on. That way you can see that, okay, this patient already took the test and this is the uploaded result. So we have that capability, the centralized view for the employer to see the result of all of their employee that already tested. Now, once it's conduct with all of the result, the contact tracing will come in hand. The contact tracing point of view is you would like to see like, okay, so if I have a list of detected or positive patient case, how do my team like continue to follow up to reach out or to conduct that initial reach out back to the patient, right? Because basically that's why like in a contact tracing point of view, you will have a centralized view of the two-day activity, pretty much like it will put all of the positive case into this queue, so that way like when your contact tracing team come in place, everything already prepared, including the patient health record as well as demographic information and or the date that they take the test. And you will be able to, from the employer standpoint, you will be able to see the list and also like separate down. Let's say like if you have a team of 5 contact tracers, so you can actually like delegate the task to the people. And the most important one is to be able to tracing up to like after the index patient positive, right? You will be able to mass define the level 1 and level 2 patient. In the case that when you see here, it say that like 2 notes. There's in the view here, as you know, like we counted by productivity, meaning even if we have 1 patient, but if your contact tracer like contacting like 10, 15 times but not reaching, we only gonna we count that all of that activity related to this 1 patient. So that's why if you see the 2 note is the activity and it's still tied to this 1 patient George test here. And also in a more detailed coordinated workflow, your team will be able to schedule the appointment for this positive case. And also we will be able to define the drill down to the level 1, level 2 for contact tracing.
Yeah, so instead of going too deep into the contact tracing components, really that's in the public health domain, and we're currently working with them right now to integrate their existing process to our digital platform. But really, the reason why we want to show this is because a lot of time the tests are being conducted on site and at work locations. So a lot of employers feel some obligations to do at least a minimal part of that, to gather all of the information, collect all of the close contact, and being able to be more proactive with this whole process. But really, once the information is collected, all of that is going to be transferred to public health for further evaluations, and that's kind of where they're taking over from that standpoint. But a lot of the employers have expressed some interest in some ways, being able to be the frontliners and being able to isolate some of their own employees to keep the workplace safe and the families and whatnot. It's just the initial step, but the information, the platforms does have all that capabilities to track all of the data. But again, primarily is, we're trying to be proactive about it to be able to present this information to public health, just kind of give them a head start. And we are working with them to integrate their existing contact tracing process into our digital platform as well. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so yes, and so basically, like, this is with this type of platform, we accommodate to all kind of test type as well as different type of labs. So it from the employer standpoint, I saw someone was have a question regarding the procurement on the test kit. If you that's a separate one. So yes. But from the technology standpoint, we'll be able to accommodate all type of testing and different vendor.
Right. So for the PCR, for the antigen and antibody, those are pretty immediate results, and generally they get this recorded at the point of service. For the PCR, the ones that has delayed, we're working in conjunctions with DLS labs, and perhaps we're trying to get that interface in the back end to work with public health as well. We had a meeting with them yesterday, and so that information is all the technical data is going to be hopefully we can have that back end integration so we can send the results to and from. It's a bi-directional integrations that we're working with the people there, the entity that's doing the PCR for us, so that way we can have the result delivery in a timely fashion, rather than waiting for the paperwork to get sent back or fax or doing hard copies and things of that nature. So we so from that standpoint, hopefully the results is going to get delivered a lot quicker. So for example, we're working on how often the cycles are being run over a DLS lab and how often they're going to be sending us the results. And as soon as the results are being delivered from the laboratory to our platform, we will send out the results to the patients immediately. So regardless of negative or positive, we have the ability to deliver all those mechanisms in a timely fashion. Yeah. So I think it's if possible, can we open up for questions and answer, Mary? We have some questions on.
Yeah. So thank you. I'm gonna put up the screen of the process flow just so that everybody can see this. I know that we went through a lot of information very quickly. But we only have so much time. But again, this is the time to ask questions. I have been logging in some of the questions. I hope everybody can see this process flow. It was also suggested that we put together the rest of the presentation in a slideshow, but I'm going to focus on this first because I've updated it. Oh, sorry, it is on slideshow. I've updated it with the presentation or with the protocols. So the first question is the cost of the program by Joe Roberto. We are requesting for CARES Act dollars to be spent on this program. So it will, the CARES Act dollars ideally would help sponsor up to 10,000 tests with employer groups. And so we had the meeting with the governor on Tuesday, and we hope that she will continue, to support this, and we can roll this out to public and private sector companies. And so again, our goal is to get to 10,000 people. And so we're hoping to make this free for everybody. But until at that point, it is a private sector initiative together with GHRA and AMC. And so if you want to participate, the price of the test for the serology and the antigen, there is a price difference between the two. And also the protocol is different depending on how they're used. So the serology test is $55. And a lot of these, they are available out in the market. Serology tests come together. The difference with our plan is we bring it to the employer group. We coordinate everything on behalf of the employer group with AMC. We will bring the testing side. We'll also train employees so that key team members that have qualifications, if you want to stand up your own group, we can actually do that. So we did a call out to our safety security committee as well as our HR committee. and also GCA's, the Guam Contractors Association Safety Committee, to identify individuals who want to work on a casual part-time basis with GHRA to create a rapid response team so that we can go out to employers and stand up these testing sites. So this is for the serology only. It requires a 4-hour class, which we have a class tomorrow. If anyone's interested in taking this, it's a 4-hour class where you'll learn all the protocols. And then we do have a lab on Saturday at 5 p.m. where you actually learn how to administer the serology test. And included in this 4-hour class is the PPE and bloodborne pathogen training. So we do talk about HIPAA and all of the things that you do need to know with regards to entering data into the system, but also administering the test. So the serology test is $55. And again, we will go on site to conduct this and coordinate everything with you. And this does come with the 360 Clinic digital platform. So that's the difference between our testing program compared to others available in the market with serology. The second test, so serology really is, again, with the protocols, 100% initially to all employees to create that baseline. Then that test would be available every 2 months thereafter. But the protocol would, once anyone with negative tests would get retested every 7 to 14 days, depending how often the employer wants to retest 15% of their employees on a random selection of those employees based on the antigen test. That antigen test is priced at $100 if it's not covered under CARES Act. We are hoping that the governor would be able to work with us on this so that we can make the test for free. We do know that antigen tests are available on island, and the way they were designed for distribution is to work in programs such as this. So we're really hoping that she'll be, very supportive of this program going forward, and we can tie in many of the initiatives so we can help augment and work alongside public health on a private sector initiative with both public and private sector agencies. So again, the serology is 100% of all employees initially, and then we would retest every 7 to 14 days, depending on when the employer wants to test again. The 15% randomly selected of those employees at $100 per test for antigen. Then every 2 months, we would have serology. So that way we can continually test, and maybe Dr. Alford or Dr. Nguyen can further answer that question. There was another question on whether or not this is covered by insurance. At this time, this is not covered by insurance. This is on a fee-for-service basis. So it's a self-pay basis for employer groups who want to have this participation in this program. Similar to, work tests or anything work-related, those are usually fee-for-service, not covered by insurance. The kit for the serology, the expiration date on it, the kit that we currently have in-house it expires April 2021. And so that was a question by Sherry Stewart. So the kit does expire April 2021, but we have that access to other kits and other tests. So we would continually revisit that and make sure that we have access to available test kits. I know that Sherry also asked through the Guam Football Association, and I know Joe and Tom are heavily involved in that as well with the Live family, but the Guam Football Association is interested in this pilot program. Just so you know, we did submit to the Guam National Golf Federation a proposal as well so that we could start testing them. And so I could send Sherry, Joe, and Tom a copy of a proposal where it would actually regularly test the team for the Guam Football Association. There was another question on face shields. So I'm going to start the slideshow now. So I could go further into the chat so that I could see the questions. I don't see any additional questions except for face shields not being required. They want to know whether or not that's required by the employee, from the employer. Please know that face shields are not required by CDC or public health at this time. It is really a directive made by the employer. So you really do need to check with your employer if your job requires it. So in this question from Roselle Santos, this was a question regarding being a server. So you always need to ask your employer about your PPE requirements and whether or not that's truly a requirement or a recommendation. There's a difference. And so really that's more of an employer directive on what your job duties are and the requirements with your PPE. Can you show me the Q&A? I can't. Can you open up the chat? You're welcome, Roselle. Do I have any other questions? I know we have some media here as well. So there were some other questions. So before Roselle, there was a question on the possible mix of industries. Yes, absolutely. Construction industries. We did a direct call with GCA, and we've actually gone out to the media to announce our partnership with GCA. So we are adding construction specifically to the list of industries. The other question is, please provide HIPAA certification for all software being used. I know that it is HIPAA compliant. And just so you know, on the HHS website, HHS has updated the HIPAA laws to include COVID with regards to reporting. So you can find that on the website. If you just even Google COVID and HIPAA updates, you will find that on the HHS website. And we do talk about that in our training as well. So the HIPAA requirements are still followed, especially because AMC has their own privacy documents that we would provide. And then to participate in this program, the employer would obviously fall under all of the requirements that AMC would require anytime they work with an employer group. But we would still need to have waivers signed by each employee as once they're being tested, that they know that this is on a voluntary basis through the employer. But the employer can certainly mandate this as part of employment, but it's really up to the employer. Liken this to TB testing at an employer site for all employees who are exposed, has possible exposure. But the difference here is with TB or with random drug testing, you know, there are federal laws that require that. So right now, COVID does not have any mandatory regulations with regards to testing at work sites. So this would be an employer directive program. And so that's really where we're at with that. The other question was with Dr. Erica's slideshow, it mentions that for a positive case, the antibodies would be in a system for up to 3 months. Can a person who had COVID positive in the past get COVID for a second time?
Am I immune?
Now you're good.
Or how long gonna be immune for? And you know, typically the immunity will last up to about 3 months or so, and it kind of wean off. So it's important to kind of follow the serology test to make sure that the IgG antibody is still there. And you know, that's a question that probably everyone have a different answer. But we know that the rate of recurrence infection, like you catch infection second time, is very far and few in the world. So anytime that you have a recurrent infection, it's a big thing, and it be in the news. So if you still have a positive antibody test, more likely the risk of recurrent infection is very, very low. And that's what we try to track to make sure that if you have a close contact, someone positive, that most likely can remain at work rather than be quarantined at home for 10 days.
All right, the next question is regarding how do you apply for the program? Again, as mentioned earlier, you just have to contact GHRA via email at info@ghra.org or president@ghra.org. And I'll share my cell phone number since we are working remotely. It's 687-3633. You can contact me directly, and I'm the main coordinator with regards to GHRA for now, working together with AMC. And we are looking for employer groups who want to sign up. So far, we've at least had about 6 government agency inquiries and probably I'd say 8 different private sector inquiries to date, and that's within the last week. So we encourage everybody to contact me so we could start the process with you, send you a proposal, and then let you know all the specific details that we shared here today. Again, I know we went through a lot of things quickly, but we also will upload this to our website so that we can have all of the resource information out there so we could promote this, and we will be uploading that to our website as well. The other question is the lead time for supplies. So currently we already have the supplies on island. We have about 25,000 serology tests on island, so we could start as of next week. So you just need to let us know what your time requirements are and also your specifically what you're hoping to get out of the program. And then we can explain everything that we have or customize it if we need to. But really this program has been put in place as Non and Julie have explained already. This has been going on in California for some time now. And so this software, the digital platform, and the protocols have been in place for some time. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're actually bringing this program to Guam, and we're very excited to partner with AMC so that we can really put a response plan for private sector in place for asymptomatics. And that's what I really want, if anyone to walk away with this is truly a plan for asymptomatics for those individuals who continue to go to work and we don't know whether or not they've been tested. The other thing is this is a great opportunity for public health to start really having all in one system, everything they need, because they will have access to this once we start uploading tests. They will be able to quickly identify individuals who have had testing before so that they know the history of those individuals. And so there's different elements to this digital platform that will help create efficiencies really between public health and the employer groups, especially when they come on site and they need to do contact tracing. So again, the overall goal is to have a comprehensive plan where we integrate programs with public and private sector partners so we can really help the community, especially public health, in getting information out and really having a plan for private sector so we can remain open. I don't see, okay, there are additional questions. Thanks, Danielle. Danielle Ariola just put up my contact information. So what is the estimated cost associated with the rollout and continuance of the program? So Phil, we had said earlier that we are really hoping to work with the governor on funding this through CARES Act dollars. We have submitted a proposal. Really, we've been working on this with the Guam Recovery Group for about 6 months. But the heavy lifting really started about 3 months ago when we first met with the governor, and we have since been meeting with public health on a lot of the programs and what are the initiatives, what are the things that we hope to get out of this so we can have some shared interest, and then also really working on that collaboration so we can have similar goals in mind and objectives when we do have deliverables in place. So if we are to do this without any CARES Act funding, which right now we do have employer groups who are willing to already start the program on a fee-for-service basis, the antibody test, which is the serology test, is $55 per person. And then the difference again between us and other types of testing is that we actually coordinate everything with the employer group to come on site, coordinate all the information to upload it to a digital platform so that the employer has access to the information and you can use that to really analyze what's going on within your businesses and use it also to start documenting when public health comes on site for any contact tracing. So the $55 is all inclusive, and it includes the response team to go to your site. We can train your employees if you want them to also participate in the serology testing for antibodies. And this is a picture of what the antibody test looks like. It's very similar to what a diabetic test is for sugar tests. And so it's very easy to administer, but you do have to go through a 4-hour class and then a 1-hour lab where you learn how to administer it. And then that also includes PPE and bloodborne pathogen training. So it's $55 per test for serology. And then the antigen test was $100, and that is administered by AMC nurses staff. We do not administer that as far as GHRA or employer groups. That has to be administered by American Medical Center qualified staff and licensed staff. So those individuals will administer the antigen, and that's $100 a test, but it's only done for 15% of the population, randomly selected. And it's also done every 7 to 14 days, depending on how often the employer wants to conduct the testing on a repeat basis. So this is, again, for asymptomatics. It is also to create regular monitoring and surveillance of your staff so that they can you can maintain operations and really improve your processes with staggered scheduling and working with people and communicating to the public that you are regularly testing your employees so that we can increase public confidence that we should be allowed to remain open. And also we're ready to open tourism, which I know a lot of people have been asking for some time. And this is our private sector initiative, hoping that we will have a public-private sector partnership. The other question is, if results read like SARS, COVID-19 positive, negative, I don't understand the question from Roselle. Can you please clarify in the chat? And then we'll go down to the next question. So if we take the vaccine, do we need to still use PPE? The answer is yes. So something very interesting about this is even though you take the vaccine, it's very important to test as well regularly because we need to know if the vaccine is being effective. And so that's another goal of ours in providing this regular testing program because we don't know the effects of the vaccine yet. It's going to depend on the person as well. So by having this surveillance survey, again, this digital platform tracks not just serology, not just antigen. It also tracks PCR, flu vaccinations. It'll track this new vaccination that's coming out. So this will give public health the ability to track any kind of testing, combine all the data in one place so they have a single solution digital platform that they can go to and really start understanding what's happening out in the community with regards to testing and how often are they being tested and whether or not that person should be tested. Because right now, if they ever were positive, whether or not it makes sense to even have them retest if they were already, if they already had the COVID virus or if they've had the vaccine. So this platform will be able to provide the data in order to do that analysis and to make decisions better. And so that's really our goal. The next question is regarding HIPAA. There's no officially recognized HIPAA compliance certification for software, as any certification only confirms the software solution has incorporated all the required safeguards to meet the requirements of HIPAA rules. So just so everybody knows that this is an encrypted software. It does have all those security measures in it. I don't know if Julie wants to add to that.
Yes, actually, we were trying to answer the questions about the HIPAA certification.
Jim Herbert asked a question of how soon could you begin with an employer group? So as soon as you contact GHRA, we would start the process, submit a proposal to you, explain the entire set of protocols so that you're fully aware of it. And then we would have you sign the agreement to begin the process. We would request the data that we need to upload into the system and then schedule your testing. So I think that is about a week's time, because we would also need to conduct a site visit to identify where we would do the testing. So that would take about a week to coordinate at least, and to upload the data into the system. The data population is very important so that when we start the testing protocols and the process, everything's already in the system. So that way we can get through all of the employees. Because remember, the initial testing for serology with antibody is 100% of all employees in order for this program to be effective. The next question from Eddie Rages is, what if we have a registered nurse on staff? Does AMC still need to administer the test? For serology, it would be really important that we would offer the training to your staff so that you can help set up your own team. That is what the training is for, is to give the opportunity to employers to set up their own team, but for serology only. It's very important because you have to have the CLIA certification in order for the results to be reported into the system. And so we need to make sure that that's where the partnership with AMC is very important on the serology test. But on the antigen test, it also has to be the clinic to administer that. Even though you have a nurse on staff, there are other requirements. And so AMC has to administer the antigen test or even a PCR test, for example. So we're only allowing employers to stand up the rapid response team for serology, but your nurse on staff could certainly be in charge of all coordination together with GHRA and AMC. The other question is, do we have to bring our yellow card for vaccine, or they will give us another card particular to the COVID vaccine? So this program has nothing to do with the vaccinations. This is actually just rapid testing for surveillance and monitoring. For vaccination, you have to coordinate that with your clinic, with your primary care provider. And right now the vaccinations aren't available on Guam. So we are not talking about the vaccine at all in this presentation. So what's the difference between the antigen test and the antibody test? Are they not the same? I'm going to have the doctors answer that question.
Hi, this is Dr. Nguyen. There's a big difference between the antibody test and the antigen test. The antibody test is telling you that if you have an infection in the past or not. Antibody test does not tell you an acute infection. So you cannot use the antibody test to tell you that you have an acute infection. That's not the reason it's there. So the antigen test is the one that look for the virus, and that's for acute infection. You know, the antigen test is mean to be a rapid test or point of care test. It's basically to make sure that to screen out for acute infection. So there's a big difference. So antibody test will tell you have an infection in the past. That's what it's used for, and it's used to screen for immunity for the employee. But the antigen test is for used to screen for acute infection, especially on an asymptomatic person at your workplace. Okay, so that's the two different two. So they use them for different reason. The seroprevalence with the antibody test is just every 2 to 3 months, but the antigen test are very important to use as a serial surveillance test to screen out for acute infection on the employee, again, especially with the asymptomatic, which can be 60 to 75% of people in the community.
How do we know which tests are best and most appropriate to use for our employees?
Both tests are important. Again, the serology for antibody tests are used for to diagnose to screen for the past infection, and the antigen test to screen for acute infection. So how do you know what's appropriate to use for both for your employee? Again, there's a baseline serology test to screen out to seroprevalence infection in your company, but the antigen, the serial every 2 weeks, 10 to 15% of your workforce, that's to go forward to screen for asymptomatic infection in your workplace. Okay, so.
Okay, there was another question. I believe Dr. Nguyen answered Frank Kenny already on both questions regarding the positive case and for only up to 3 months where they can get that reinfection, and then also the type of test, what's most appropriate. So like Dr. Nguyen said, the protocol does call for 100% of employees to have serology. So we are requiring the serology test first and then antigen test thereafter. Again, because we have that bigger goal in mind of creating that baseline. And so you won't have that baseline unless you do the serology of 100%. There was a question that if we were to join this program, would the serology and antigen test be billed to the company? So yes, it would. And again, it's based on a fee for service. But if GovGuam approves CARES Act funding, will there be a reimbursement to the company? That would actually be up to the governor, should she fund it, if she would allow us to do a reimbursement, because it might be time sensitive based on CARES Act funding. We know that CARES Act funding has to be spent by a certain time. And we know that with the new administration coming in January, there's a possibility of Guam getting additional funding. So we're very hopeful that the governor, we've done the due diligence on our part to work with public health and really work out the protocols. Because one of the goals in mind was to come up with universal protocols that public health would agree to, so that when we do this on a private sector basis, it is universal and it's accepted by public health, especially when we share the data. So there's another question. Danielle has also provided the link to the HHS website regarding HIPAA and the regulations. I'm sorry, Ken Lujan from SBA, I see that. Thanks, Ken. So Ken Lujan has uploaded the link to HHS if you're interested in getting the HIPAA compliance regulatory updates. Next, there's a question from Sherry Stewart again. Can a business secure their own antigen test and administer it themselves, or it must be done via clinic or lab?
Yeah, Sherry, it's Dr. Nguyen. Just answer your question on the business secure their own antigen test. You know, the antigen test is it had to be clear waiver clinic to have it done. So and it had to be reported to public health. Is that negative, positive? That's the law. So business can acquire the antigen test, but they cannot do the test themselves. It had to be clear certified waiver to do that. And again, any type of antigen test, doesn't matter where you administer it, it have to be by law report to public health to be positive, negative. So if a private business can purchase the antigen test, but it had to be tested and administered under a clinic that have either a clear waiver or certified clinic.
Okay, great. Well, I think those are all of the questions we have received so far. Yep. Dr. Nguyen would actually like to add something.
Yeah, again, this digital platform and the pilot program that we go through today is very comprehensive. It's mean for the business community or the private business to go forward and open our economy and keep the workplace in place. It work parallel with public health. It's like I said, it's not a public health initiative or endorsement, but as a business, a private business, we have to go forward with a plan to keep our workforce in place, and it work parallel with public health in order for public health to be able to come into a business that have a positive to do the contact tracing. Again, we are working with public health very closely, parallel with them. We do not replace the contact tracing. But again, it really is every company initiative to do the isolation and contact tracing at the initial positive, So that way we can minimize the loss of employee at the workplace. We continue to work with public health again to make sure that we are work parallel with them to provide them with all the necessary information for the demographic requirement and also for their contact tracing. Again, this is a private public health partnership, but initiated by the private clinic and the business, and it's not endorsed, not run by public health. This is a private business initiative.
So with that, I don't see any additional questions. Again, we will upload this to our YouTube channel so that we can make this available for everybody. There is one more question from Frank Kenny. He asked, can the doctor please explain again why it's necessary to continue testing once the vaccine has been taken by an individual?
Frank, hi, it's Dr. Nguyen. Yeah, it's a very good question. Getting the vaccine, which is probably, if everything go correctly as planned, the vaccine would be many months down the line. I know it's going to roll out very slowly, and Guam, hopefully we get our vaccination back in for everyone vaccinated, but it's going to take probably for several months. The timeline, really, no one knows at this point. But get the vaccination doesn't mean that you won't get the infection. Just like the flu vaccine, the shingle vaccine, everything else, it will minimize the risk of you get infection. If you do get infection, hopefully the symptom will be mild rather than moderate severe. Okay, but you still have to use your PPE. You still have to use your mask. You still have to use, social distance. You still have to use your hand washing until a permanent treatment that we have for the COVID-19. So yes, to go forward, the serology part will be important because we don't. It's not 100% the people who get vaccination or immunization for COVID-19 that will have antibodies. It really depend on your immune system. It depend on everyone. So you have to keep track of your serology, make sure that you're still positive the IgG. So the testing is still important for you. It's going to be with us for quite a while until we find out the treatment for the COVID-19.
So I put up my contact information again on the screen. If anyone is interested, we're starting to get some inquiries. Thank you for the messages from Danielle at GHRA. Some employer groups have already been contacting her right now just through WhatsApp, but also on via email at info@ghra.org. This is my contact information should you need to get a hold of us. And then also, if you're interested in this program, I can share more offline. We will upload this presentation onto our YouTube channel and make it available through Facebook and our website. I did get some inquiries from the media, so we will make it available to you with the links as well. And I'll be available for any question and answer if you have any offline. So there was a question from Ken Lujan regarding the issue of employee privacy, if it would be a big challenge moving forward. CDC is requiring states to submit personal information to individuals who receive vaccines, but some states are refusing to do so because of privacy concerns, potentially dissuading undocumented individuals from getting shots. In New York, this was in the New York Times, and the information, they're saying that the administration officials won't be shared with other agencies. But just so you know, under the HIPAA regulations of what I read at the HHS website, the reporting of information is not limited to just public health. It's to any government regulatory agency if they need it, such as the judiciary system or the law enforcement entities, should public health need to share that. So HIPAA extends out, to those government entities. But as far as our program and the employer group, only the employer will have access to results, and they are still bound to HIPAA privacy rules once it's shared on this software. But they will only have certain access points through the portal. And then the public health will have access to the data as well. The only time the individual will receive the information is based on their test result. They won't be able to go in and log into this portal at all. This is only meant for the employer group and the administrator at AMC, as well as public health. And so your information is protected, and it is HIPAA compliant because it's only being reported to the public health as an agency and to the CDC.
And Mary, can I add a little bit to that?
So with that, I'm going to close out the presentation. I just want to remind everybody again from GHRA to please submit your electronic ballots today. It is due today. All voting ends today. And we're looking forward to rolling this program out with AMC. I want to thank all of our presenters. I know that Julie and Non, I think you guys wanted to close out the presentation by adding a couple of things. So if you guys can go ahead and have some final comments?
No, actually, sorry about that. We have multiple access here on the in the meeting room. No, I just want to add a little bit more to your comment earlier about the HIPAA requirements, Mary. I mean, due to the lack of
we'll just have them respond to people if in case anyone has any employer questions on the digital platform. We'll make those available via Non and Julie because they do have to interact with the employer group. If you have an IT department, if you need help in uploading the system and also just interpreting the data on what portal you have access to. So
Mary,
thank you again,
ask?
everybody. We look forward to closing out this year with this very exciting project. We want to thank everybody for their continued support. As Dr. Nguyen said, you know, this is a private sector initiative, and we do hope that, you know, everything goes well and everybody stays safe. Regardless, we can't be complacent. We always have to practice, you know, washing your hands, socially distance, and then also wearing your mask. Those are very important key elements. But we really hope that our first program is also, we are partnering with the Guam Visitors Bureau on making sure we take both pillars and we implement these programs together with the government of Guam. And so with the Guam Visitors Bureau and UOG's Small Business Public Administration Office with Drs. John Rivera and Dr. Annette Santos, together with Nadine Leon Guerrero and Jerry Paris from the Guam Visitors Bureau. We are looking forward to rolling out the health and safety protocols so we can give you all of the training and education and help you really expand on what you've already done with regards to your reopening guidelines and help you just provide more resources to update your pandemic plans and really introduce engineering and admin controls and help you with your protocols if you need that assistance. So we're really looking at a two-pronged approach. And so we're very excited to roll this program out. And we welcome any questions. You can contact me at any time. Thank you, everybody, for all of the questions. It's been really great to see the interaction. And we hope that we'll continue to expand the message out there that we do have a private sector plan, and we hope everybody signs up. So thank you very much, and happy holidays, and please continue to stay safe.